Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
Do you somehow think that preventing cancer supports anti-Semitism?
Why did you cut SNAP and healthcare research?
We do not have unlimited money in the United States.
I want to ask, why does it seem like when you make your voting decisions, they're based on capital rather than the working class?
Did you read the bill?
I read the bill.
If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care.
How much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
What specific action are you taking to defund or continue support to Israel?
So I support Israel. I support Israel. I support Israel.
How can you justify taking health care away from 78,000 Nebraskans?
It is an honor to serve you and a privilege to serve you and the United States Congress. Thank you very much and have a safe drive home.
Ce 4 août 2025 au Nebraska, un des États les plus conservateurs d'Amérique, plus de 800 électeurs ont littéralement explosé de colère contre leur député pro-Trump. Une séquence particulièrement intéressante à analyser car l'essentiel des questions de fond sont identiques aux débats politiques qui ont lieu en France actuellement. Par ailleurs, cette séquence est révélatrice de la situation politique explosive aux États-Unis et nous offre un avant-goût des tensions à venir en vue des élections de mi-mandat de 2026. Tout d'abord, un peu de contexte. Mike Flood est un représentant républicain pro-Trump au Congrès pour le premier district du Nebraska, un État où Trump a battu Harris avec plus de 20 points d'avance. Il tenait une réunion publique dans le but d'expliquer pourquoi il avait voté pour le fameux One Big Beautiful Bill de Trump et le défendre face à ses électeurs. Cette loi combine les plus grosses réductions d'impôts de l'histoire américaine, notamment pour les plus riches, avec en parallèle des coupes budgétaires gigantesques dans tous les programmes sociaux des États-Unis, aussi bien sur l'aide alimentaire que sur la santé. Avec cette loi signée le 4 juillet dernier, Trump assume d'entraîner la perte de la couverture Medicaid pour 8,6 millions d'Américains d'ici 2034, tout en allouant également 150 milliards de dollars supplémentaires aux dépenses de défense et 50 milliards pour reprendre la construction du mur frontalier avec le Mexique. En résumé, les inégalités ont explosé, l'inflation n'a pas cessé, et pendant que les milliardaires empochent des réductions d'impôts, les classes moyennes et les plus pauvres se voient couper un certain nombre d'aides avec cette nouvelle loi. Pour beaucoup, le rêve MAGA s'est transformé en cauchemar économique. Mais ce n'est pas tout, car il y a aussi les polémiques à répétition dont Trump n'arrive pas à se défaire, et une en particulier, l'affaire Jeffrey Epstein. Même si Trump a tout fait pour faire diversion en attaquant les liens d'Epstein avec les démocrates, il a déjà perdu une partie de sa base avec son refus de rendre public les dossiers classifiés. Pour finir, même le soutien à Israël fragilise désormais Trump. Progressivement, de plus en plus d'électeurs républicains contestent l'appui inconditionnel à Netanyahou, à la fois en raison des massacres à Gaza et du coût colossal de cette aide, jugée injustifiable, surtout en pleine austérité budgétaire.
I want the opportunity to tell you and talk to you about health care in the bill we just passed. I want to go right into this bill because I know this is something a lot of people have questions about, and quite frankly, from where I sit, there's been a lot of misinformation out there about the bill.
Je dois bien le reconnaître, cette décision n'a pas été comprise.
Why did you cut SNAP and healthcare research?
We do not have unlimited money in the United States.
Parce qu'à la fin, les moyens, c'est vous qui les payez aussi, vous savez. Il n'y a pas d'argent magique.
If you are able to work and you are able-bodied, you have to work. If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care. You do not get free health care. Okay. So here's a question. Do you think that people who are 28 years old that can work and refuse to work should get free health care? I don't think that a majority of Nebraskans agree with you. If we adopted the Democrats' plan in the last Congress to tax the rich, it would generate $50 billion, which does not take us close to where we're going, and it cuts job creation, it cuts business creation, it cuts the ability for employers to invest in their businesses.
Les plus riches partaient et notre pays s'affaiblissait. Conformément aux engagements pris devant vous, cet impôt a été supprimé pour ceux qui investissent dans notre économie et donc aident à créer des emplois.
Effectivement, une proposition de loi instaurant un impôt plancher de 2% sur le patrimoine des plus riches, qui ne répondait pas aux objectifs du gouvernement, a été rejetée par le Sénat, parce que l'objectif du gouvernement, c'est l'attractivité du territoire pour attirer des investissements, pour développer notre économie.
I truly believe that this bill will allow America to experience growth, that it will allow our communities to thrive, that it will spark our economy, that it will help farmers and ranchers, that it will take care of the vulnerable, and more than anything, I truly believe this bill protects Medicaid for the future. I believe it.
Congressman Flood, I come from 11 generations of military citizens who have served this nation. I've seen the long-term effects of service on veterans' health and on well-being. This budget reconciliation bill that you support threatens to cut all of their benefits and support programs that go along with that. How can you stand behind this bill that erodes the very services that people like me, my family, our families, and younger vets coming home today rely on to live decent, healthy lives?
Well, first of all, thank you for your service to the country. And thank you to the generations of service to the country.
I met personally with the Veterans Secretary. We went over everything, and I will tell you, our Veterans Affairs are going to be better than they've been in a long time under this president. The Secretary, we sat down for the better part of an hour, and I would have to get my notes from that meeting, but I asked a lot of questions that came from that Columbus town hall. And when the time is right, and I have that in front of me, I will go through that. If you have specific programs you're concerned about, please reach out to Taylor and get us that information. Thank you.
My question is fiscal. With $450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and $600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
Americans went to the polls in November, and they had a choice between a Democratic candidate that had an open border, no enforcement, fentanyl, drugs, human trafficking. And they had a choice between that and a candidate that said, close the border, get illegal immigrants out of our country, stop the fentanyl, stop the human trafficking, stop the drugs, stop the crime, stop the violence. That's what Americans voted for. Americans voted for a border that is secure. And I support the president enforcing our immigration laws, which, by the way, were written by Congress.
So how can you justify taking health care away from 78,000 Nebraskans?
As I explained before, when you have an additional $700 million coming into the state of Nebraska for Nebraska hospitals, we have a state where our infrastructure is going to be supported, is going to be funded, and is going to be available for the people that need it.
On a investi 19 milliards d'euros dans notre système de santé. En 3 ans, le budget que notre nation consacre à la santé a augmenté de 50 milliards d'euros.
If you are able to work and you're 28 years old and you choose not to work, you don't get free health care in America.
Next question. Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
Let's be very clear.
At the next pro forma session of the Congress, you'll find my name as a sponsor on a resolution from the House Rules Committee to release the Epstein files to protect the victims and not re-victimize them again. I support Jamie Comer, who is the House's Oversight Committee Chairman, subpoenaing Ms. Maxwell later this month to come testify in Washington.
I am for the release of those records.
My comments are about the debt and how we can fix our debt. So tax U.S. stock trades, raise the Social Security cap to $400,000 and the Medicare rate to $200,000, eliminate corporate subsidies, especially for the military-industrial complex, appropriately staff the IRS so they can target rich tax cheats, ignore the Grover Norquist contract that you signed and raise taxes on the rich, broaden the tax base by closing loopholes, the carried interest offshore tax havens, and adjust rates on high earners. And there's more, but...
That's quite the Christmas list. You got a lot of stuff on there. I will receive that as input. I don't exactly know where I'd even start answering that question other than we cut next to $2 trillion of federal spending with the bill we passed, and we protected Medicaid.
Okay, next question is, what specific action are you taking to defund or continued support to Israel and their aggressions on the West Bank and genocide against Palestinians living in Gaza?
I have said from the start, what happened on October 8th was an abomination. Well, October 7th, sorry. I support Israel. America has no better ally than Israel. And they have every right to root out Hamas and these evil terrorists, whether they're in Gaza, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's the Houthis, whether it's the Iranians. They live under threat of nuclear and vicious attack every single day. I also believe that our country, working with Israel, needs to do everything we can to get those children food. No American wants any child, no matter the place they live, to ever suffer. But you got to remember, we're dealing with Hamas. They use these Palestinians as human shields in their pursuit of terror and destruction against Israelis. So I support Israel. I support Israel. I support Israel.
I want to ask, why does it seem like when you make your voting decisions, they're based on capital rather than the working class? Billionaires and corporations got their tax issues enshrined into law forever, but the working class gets a no tax on tips or overtime that only applies to some of us, and now we wind up in a situation where we are.
With all due respect, sir, the Republican Party, now more than ever, represents the heart and soul of the working class.
It's easy to talk about healthcare research, and yet when the current administration attacks my alma mater, Harvard, it attacks Duke, it attacks USC, UCLA, the first place they cut is NIH grants. So why are you targeting? Do you somehow think that preventing cancer supports anti-Semitism, which is the goal of those cuts?
I care about the NIH grants. I do. I care about the NIH grants. I want us to pass a budget so that Congress can express itself through our Appropriations Committee, because in talking to the Republicans that I work with on a daily basis, we support what you support. And I want that in the budget. And I want our Article I authority to be respected. And I want that money to go to the places that's doing the best good. And I want that funding for research. So I hear you. I will say, and this is neither here nor there, some of the institutions that you talked about had a very poor record when it came to anti-Semitism that we saw from their presidents, which has resulted in presidents losing their jobs. So that is the truth. Like, that is something we dealt with. But the bigger issue here is, what do Americans want? Americans want cures for cancer. Americans want the best therapies. Americans want to know that researchers are working around the clock to address Alzheimer's, which is taking more and more and more of our country, and dementia, and all these other things. I support that. And one of the things that I think we have to do in Congress is we are in charge of the money. We are in charge of passing a budget. That is Article 1.
Given your full-throated support of the bill, whatever we call it, and your view of the facts, I'd like to know how you expect to pay back all of this debt that is going to be layered onto our grandchildren because we're not willing to make our rich part of our society pay their fair share.
So what's interesting about that, and I think it's a fair question, two things are happening here. People in here are upset with me that I voted to cut $2 trillion in spending from the budget. You're also upset at me because I have told you at every single town hall it is going to be a combination of spending reductions and economic growth. It will take both to do it. This is exactly how President Obama looked at it in 2012. It's how President Trump and the Congress looked at it in 2017. We cannot simply cut our way out of this. We have to reduce our spending, we have to continue the tax cuts, and we have to grow the economy. Protect, results, growth. That's what we need.
A lot's been talked about Medicaid, healthcare, etc. A lot of countries in the world, Europe, Canada, they have healthcare for the people there. Outside, just now you said, you don't want to see a lazy 28-year-old get healthcare, whatever. My point is, every working and retired American should be entitled to healthcare. Would you sign on or write up a bill for Medicare for all? We've got Medicare now. We can start rolling back the age 5, 10 years at a time. Would you support that?
We can't afford that.
Yes, you can.
How much longer until the border wall is finished?
We cannot build it soon enough. We need the border wall. I support the border wall. Americans support the border wall. Americans want a secure border. It's always going to be a challenge anytime you're dealing with a lot of different landowners, but the One Big Beautiful Bill does increase funding to get that done, which was a priority under the first Trump administration.
I worked for Democrats, Republicans over 20 years, faithfully, worked on counterterrorism issues on the Iran nuclear program. And throughout that time, I always tried to spend some time thinking about how average Nebraskans, people like my family, teachers, farmers, grandparents, parents, how those decisions would impact those people. So I'm back in Lincoln now, and I wanted to see what my representative was doing for the people of Lincoln. And I see this new bill that transfers trillions of dollars of wealth from working class Americans, people that are sitting in this room, to billionaires that don't even live in this state. And so my question is, I know who I work for, but who do you work for? You work for billionaires out of state or people in this room?
When you look at the bill, this was a middle-class tax cut. This bill is a middle-class tax cut. It's absolutely true.
Les baisses d'impôts qu'on a faites sur les ménages se sont concentrées sur ces classes moyennes. Quand on a baissé la cotisation salariale sur le chômage au premier quinquennat, c'est pour essentiellement ces classes moyennes. Quand on a supprimé la taxe d'habitation, c'est pour les classes moyennes. Quand on a baissé de 4 milliards d'euros l'impôt sur le revenu, ça a été sur les classes moyennes. Quand en début de ce quinquennat, on a supprimé la redevance audiovisuelle, c'est pour les classes moyennes. Et donc nous avons dans notre trajectoire budgétaire, c'est-à-dire, vous savez, on a prévu jusqu'en 2027 des dépenses, des recettes pour tenir aussi notre déficit et commencer à rembourser notre dette. Il y a 2 milliards de baisse d'impôts pour les ménages. Ces 2 milliards, j'ai demandé au gouvernement de me faire des propositions pour qu'il se concentre sur ces classes moyennes. Vous l'avez très bien dit.
Regarding your opening comments and the slides that you had on your televisions, I didn't rehearse this question, but when I saw those, I was surprised. H.R. 1 does, in fact, address Medicare. So my question is, did you read the bill?
I read the bill. I read the bills. Is every bill perfect? No, but I supported this bill. By the way, I think this is important. I cannot stress it enough because I think there's a lot of information out there that's wrong. We protected Medicaid. We cut $2 trillion out of the future debt. We work to get results, and this bill builds for growth. Here's the deal. I want to say a couple things. Thank you to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Thank you to the UNL Police. Thank you to my staff. Thank you to Nebraska Public Media for doing a great job tonight. Thank you to all the members of the working media that are here. And most importantly, thank you to all of you. If you need assistance from my office, call my office, come see me. I will be visible, I will be accessible. And for those of you watching from home, please know I am on your side. I never forget who I'm working for. And it is an honor to serve you and a privilege to serve you in the United States Congress. Thank you very much, and have a safe drive home.